The snow fell in heavy sheets that Christmas night, blanketing the small town of Pine Ridge in silence. Inside the cramped apartment on Maple Street, Sarah Mitchell sat on the edge of her worn couch, staring at the blinking lights of a miniature tree she'd bought at the dollar store. Her two children, Emma and Jake, were asleep in the bedroom they shared. Their stockings hung carefully on makeshift hooks, empty except for the candy canes she'd managed to afford. The electricity bill was overdue. The refrigerator held little more than condiments and half a loaf of bread. And tomorrow, Christmas morning, she would have to explain to her babies why Santa hadn't come this year. Sarah pressed her palms against her eyes, refusing to let the tears fall. She had survived her husband, Michael's death in a training accident 8 months ago. She had survived the mounting bills, the sympathetic looks from neighbors who didn't know how to help, the crushing weight of being both mother and father to two. Children who asked every day when Daddy was coming home. She would survive this too. She had to. The knock at the door came at 9:47 p.m., so sudden and sharp that Sarah jumped. Her heart hammered as she approached the door, peering through the peephole. A tall man stood in the hallway, broad-shouldered and stern-faced, wearing a dark jacket dusted with snow. She didn't recognize him. "Mrs. Mitchell?" His voice was deep but not unkind. "My name is Marcus Webb. I served with your husband." Sarah's hand trembled as she unlocked the door, opening it just enough to see him clearly. Marcus Webb looked to be in his mid-40s, with close-cropped gray hair and eyes that had seen too much. There was a duffel bag at his feet and something unreadable in his expression. Not pity, but understanding. "I'm sorry to come so late," Marcus said. "I tried calling, but the number I had was disconnected. I wanted to pay my respects. Michael saved my life in Kandahar. I owed him everything." Sarah's throat tightened. She'd heard stories about Michael's deployments, about the brotherhood among SEALs, but she'd never met any of his team. After the funeral, they'd all seemed to disappear back into their own lives, their own missions. "Come in," she managed, stepping aside. "Please." Marcus entered, his trained eyes taking in everything, the threadbare furniture, the nearly empty kitchen visible through the doorway, the bills stacked on the counter, the miniature tree with its single strand of lights. He saw what Sarah had tried so hard to hide from the world. He saw the struggle. "How are you managing?" he asked quietly, and there was no judgment in the question, only concern. Sarah wanted to lie. She wanted to say they were fine, that the military benefits were enough, that she had everything under control. But something about Marcus Webb, maybe the way he stood like he was ready to face whatever came, or the genuine care in his weathered face made the walls she'd built come crashing down. "I'm not," she whispered. "I'm drowning. The life insurance is tied up in paperwork. I lost my job because I couldn't afford childcare and keep missing shifts. Tomorrow is Christmas, and I have nothing to give my children except the truth that their mother failed them." Marcus was silent for a long moment. Then he picked up his duffel bag and set it on the coffee table. "Mrs. Mitchell, Sarah, may I show you something?" He unzipped the bag, and Sarah's breath caught. Inside were wrapped presents, dozens of them, in bright paper covered with reindeer and snowflakes. There were toys, clothes, even a small tablet computer still in its box. "I don't understand," Sarah said. "After I heard about Michael, I reached out to some of the guys from our team," Marcus explained. "We started pooling resources, trying to figure out how to help. But we lost track of you when you moved. I've been searching for 2 months. He pulled out an envelope. "This is from all of us. It's not charity, it's what we owe Michael. He never left a man behind, and we won't leave his family behind." Sarah opened the envelope with shaking hands. Inside was a check that made her knees weak, enough to catch up on bills, enough to buy groceries for months, enough to breathe. "I can't accept this," she said, even as tears streamed down her face. "It's too much. It's not enough," Marcus said firmly. "And I'm not done. Come with me." "What?" "Come with me. Get your kids. Bundle them up. I have something to show you." Sarah hesitated, her instincts as a mother, warring with something else, a flicker of hope she hadn't felt in months. "It's late. They're asleep." "Trust me," Marcus said. "Michael trusted me with his life. Trust me with this." 10 minutes later, Sarah found herself in Marcus's truck with a confused Emma and Jake bundled in the back seat. driving through the silent, snow-covered streets. The children were wide awake now, excited by the adventure. Asking questions, Marcus answered with patient smiles. They pulled up to a modest house on the edge of town, its windows glowing with warm light. Cars lined the street, and Sarah could see figures moving inside. "Where are we?" she asked. "You'll see." Marcus led them to the front door, which opened before he could knock. A woman with kind eyes and gray hair pulled Sarah into a hug before she could protest. "You must be Sarah. I'm Margaret, Marcus's wife. Come in, come in. You must be freezing." Inside, the house was transformed. A massive Christmas tree dominated the living room, surrounded by mountains of presents. The dining table was laden with food, a turkey, ham, casseroles, pies, cookies. And standing around the room were men and women, some in military uniform, others in civilian clothes, all watching Sarah and her children with warm smiles. "Sarah," Marcus said softly, "I'd like you to meet SEAL Team 5, or at least those of us who could make it tonight. We've all lost brothers. We've all struggled. We all know what it means to be part of a family that doesn't, and when the mission does." A younger man stepped forward, his eyes bright. "Ma'am, your husband pulled me from a burning vehicle in Ramadi. I wouldn't be here without him." Another voice. "He talked about you and the kids constantly. Showed us pictures. You were his whole world." And another. "He made us promise that if anything happened, we'd check on you. We're sorry it took so long, but we're here now." Emma tugged on Sarah's sleeve. "Mama, who are these people?" Sarah knelt down, pulling both her children close, unable to stop the tears now. "These are Daddy's friends, baby. His brothers and sisters. They came to celebrate Christmas with us." The evening unfolded like a dream. The children tore into presents while the adults watched with joy. Jake received the action figures he'd been asking Santa for. Emma got the art supplies she'd mentioned to Michael in a letter she'd written months before his death, a letter these men and women had somehow found and remembered. They ate until they couldn't move. The table filled with laughter and stories about Michael, painting a picture of a man who was not just a soldier, but a friend, a jokester, a hero in small and large ways. As the night grew late, and the children dozed on the couch surrounded by their new treasures, Marcus pulled Sarah aside. "There's one more thing," he said. "We've set up a trust fund for Emma and Jake's education, and I've talked to my brother. He owns a marketing firm downtown. They're looking for someone to manage their social media. It's remote work, flexible hours. The job is yours if you want it." Sarah couldn't speak. She could only nod as Marcus continued. "Michael was my brother in every way that mattered. That makes you family. And we don't abandon family, ever." Later, as they loaded the truck with presents and leftovers, Sarah turned to Marcus with eyes that finally held something besides despair. "Why?" she asked. "Why go through all this trouble?" Marcus looked up at the stars breaking through the clouds, the snow finally stopping. "Because Michael would have done the same for any of us. Because kindness is never trouble, it's purpose. Because on Christmas night, no one should be alone, especially not the family. Of a man who gave everything, for his country and his brothers." He met her eyes. "And because maybe, just maybe, if we all took care of each other the way we're supposed to, the world would be a little less dark." As they drove home through streets now peaceful and white, Emma stirred in the back seat. "Mama," she murmured sleepily, "is Daddy watching?" Sarah glanced at Marcus, who nodded slightly. She turned to her daughter and smiled, really smiled, for the first time in months. "Yes, baby. Daddy's watching, and he's so proud of you." When they reached the apartment, Marcus helped carry everything inside. Before he left, he pressed his business card into Sarah's hand. "My number. Call anytime for anything. You're not alone anymore." Sarah stood in her doorway, watching him walk away into the night. This stranger who had become a guardian angel. Inside, her children slept peacefully, surrounded by love made tangible. The bills on the counter didn't seem so insurmountable now. Tomorrow was no longer something to fear. She closed the door and looked at the check still in her hand, at the business card, at the remnants of the most unexpected Christmas of her life. Michael was gone, but his legacy lived on, not just in the memories, but in the men and women who honored his sacrifice by refusing to let his family fall through the cracks. Sometimes, Sarah realized, hope doesn't announce itself with trumpets. Sometimes it arrives quietly, in the form of a knock on the door and a simple invitation. Come with me. And sometimes, all it takes is one person who refuses to walk away, who sees the struggle and says, "Not on my watch." That night, for the first time since Michael's death, Sarah slept deeply, dreamlessly, peacefully, because she finally understood what her husband had always known, that true brotherhood, true family, transcends blood and death and distance. It lives in the choice to show up, to care, to act. And on Christmas night, in a small town in America, that choice had made all the difference.